Today's episode is brought to you by, oh my god, the finals are in New York. The finals are in New York!
It's high noon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, the Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy? Definitely didn't unmute his mic, so we're just gonna jump right into it.
Yeah, I don't need to unmute it. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I'm doing great.
Fine?
Super hyped about the finals, like you said, in New York. We
Super Bowl's in New York.
1000% going. If I was more prepared, I could hold the tickets up to the camera.
Literally, tickets are already bought. Yeah. We got them.
We're going. See you there.
Are going. We will see you there. Yeah, and we can definitely once it gets closer, we can definitely set something up if you guys are going to be there, or we can have like a high noon meetup or something. I don't know. We got all sorts of people that are going to be there. Would definitely be cool to meet you guys. And it's just gonna be awesome. So pumped for it. But we've got other stuff to talk about. Let's talk about... Actually, I mean, while we're talking about tickets already being purchased and awesome things that are happening that we're going to, we got BlizzCon tickets too. So we are... the only thing left to pay for are arguably the most expensive thing, but the plane tickets there or the party bus rental there. No, it's,
I was gonna say also the Korean barbecue.
We're going. That's just you pay one large sum of money at the beginning, and then it's all you can eat. So it's not gonna be more. Well, no, we went to the #1 rated Korean barbecue place in the United States. Is like a half an hour away. And it was good. It was real good. But yeah, so we're definitely going. We are 100% going to BlizzCon. We're 100% going to the finals, which are in our home state. I mean, for what it's worth, it's still 8 hours away. But you know what? It's closer than an 8-hour plane ride. So
not in Anaheim. So hooray!
Certainly not in Anaheim. Yeah.
Really excited about it. If anybody's going to either BlizzCon or the finals, please do let us know. We will have channel set up in the Discord as the events get closer. The finals channel should be. I'll probably make that tonight because I'm thinking about it. But
Super Bowl,
let us know. We
channel.
want to know how many people are there interested in doing a meetup. I'm sure it's going to be a really busy weekend for everybody involved. You, us, everything. So if we can gauge some interest in how much people want to try to do a meetup, if we get a good turnout, and a good chunk of people that want to do it, we will make sure we go out of our way to do it. But yeah, so
and
discord.me/High Noon Podcast. Let us know there if you're going to be there and want to hang out with us.
Yeah, let us know as soon as possible, because if I don't know what I can swing with people that I know that are there, but we might be able to get something cool potentially with someone who's got like the hookup there. But that's all. That's all. I have no idea. So more details will come out later. But I'm brewing right now.
We're pumped. We're excited. We're gonna do everything we can to make it as fun of a weekend as possible at the end of July.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if you guys are going to BlizzCon, definitely make sure you check out Calm Before the Storm as well. Their Kickstarter, I believe, is still going, so you can check that out. I don't know, just Google Calm Before the Storm Kickstarter. You'll be able to find it. I don't know the website off the top of my head, and the video or the clip they have for it is too long to play right now. We're already running behind, kind of. We started the show only 40 minutes late. But let's talk about what we did as the show this week. We did. Do we have? We have a top 10.
By the time this is published, we will have the top 10 for the end of stage 3 posted for the final week of stage 3. That will be up on the YouTube, so definitely check that out.
Good old the YouTubes, yes. And then again, ATP is now for the most part going to be bi-weekly. But if you missed it 2 weeks ago, Thorn, Kyle Wynn, Volamil, and the very one and only Deathblow, spicy episode full of veterans. This week we've got a newcomer, we've got 2 returners, and a mystery guest. Ooh. Who knows what the mystery guest is? Ooh,
It was me last time.
If you listen to the pre-shows, you know exactly what the mystery guest is, and one of the guests is Taco too. But he's not the mystery guest. Let's just make this clear. Taco is not the mystery guest. But speaking of Taco, Taco has a new show out, and the first episode of it is out, and it is on our podcast feed, at least the first couple episodes. It is All Things Considered, so just a clap for that is a yes for best Overwatch themed show name. That is,
I don't know if you could hear it in my clap, but it was very begrudging and jealous at the quality of the name of that particular show.
I really wanted to like pull a Metallica and just be like, duh, dude, that name sucks, man. Like, give it up, and then just start a show called All Things Considered.
It's a High Noon production though, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of like our name. I don't know. I'm taking credit for it whenever.
I'm taking at least 33% credit for it as well. But yeah, so that is up, and that is an interview with the coach of the LA Gladiators, Deepay. So definitely check that one out. And
I did say last week that the first episode would be an interview with myself as the first episode, but he got the opportunity to interview Deepay before myself, so I will be episode number 2. It's already been recorded and ready for you guys next week. So
nice. I didn't even know that it was already recorded.
Oh yeah, we were waking up doing things, getting work done early on Saturday while you were sleeping in like a bum, Blevins.
Yeah, I am a bum.
You were awake. We did it in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. I might have still been asleep. But yeah, so definitely check that out. And he will have his own podcast feed up at some point. But what I do know is that Taco has been belaboring over the editing and the piecework for this. He is much more of a perfectionist than we are. So this should be a real treat to listen into. So definitely take a look at that one. Speaking of treats to listen to, we got two more returning HNP High Noon Productions as well. Of course, a new Blackwatch report. I believe episode 14 of the Blackwatch report, and another episode of Foul Play as well, which by all accounts from you, Death, is a pretty in-depth episode.
Yeah, we went actually really deep into it, and there's a lot of crossover appeal. So if you're not playing fantasy, this is still really relevant for you guys, and I recommend you check it out. We literally go team by team through every single roster and identify the possible Brigitte players, the possible Reinhardt players, the possible Hanzo players, the possible Zarya players, and just discuss what they're going to do with their rosters as they try to fit them into what looks like it's going to be. And again, this is all guesswork because we don't have official confirmation about what patch it's going to be on or anything like that. But it's especially valuable once we get the announcement that the new Hanzo and will be on the live patch as the stage starts.
I mean,
if we get that confirmation, the episode is gold, and you should make sure you check it out. If not, it's still pretty good because it's still going to be very Reinhardt, Zarya based. The DPS will be different, so just like ignore the Hanzo conversation.
Yeah, I mean, knowing which players are going to play Briquette is going to be just insane. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch and listen to these next couple of weeks for the first week of the new stage. But that is all from the shows. Let's talk about what we did last week. And Death, any fun and exciting stuff happened for you?
I blacked out after we bought tickets to the Overwatch League Super Bowl and BlizzCon, and the rest of my week didn't happen.
It didn't matter.
I know I played a good amount of Overwatch. I'm actually moving from a DPS role into main tank, just so I have the ability to shot call with the podcaster team.
Nice.
But I actually also did fill for a GM scrim, so it was really nice to kind of get back into like the high end. So like there were people with the top 500, icons and stuff, like there were player icons. So. And I did pretty well. I mean, I was in this weird spot, right? So teams that aren't Overwatch League teams and don't have, 12 players and the ability to make subs in and out and things like that are having a harder time transitioning their 2-2-2 roster build into the triple support meta and things like that. So I was playing Brigitte / Hitscan. So I'm like in GM trying to snipe GM Widowmakers and stuff. So it was a little rough at the beginning, but we switched, and it was actually my old teammate Yankee. I'm sure I mentioned him a few times on the show. He was the other DPS player, and we actually switched. He's a better Widowmaker than I am. I'm a much better Hanzo than I am Widowmaker. I'm not on Yankee's level on Hanzo, but so I actually got to play the Hanzo for Blizzard World in the GM scrim. did really well, like really
Nice.
well on the Hanzo. So I was super pumped to be like up there playing with high-end players on the new hero. He's ridiculously fun. He's always been my favorite hero, as my quick play hours will attest to. If you look at any one of my accounts, I'm pretty sure he's up. Him and Junkrat are up at the top. So yeah, so it was just a whole lot of fun. Got to play a good amount of Overwatch. What'd you do this past week with your bye week?
Yeah, so obviously, as you know, I'm still running for the Overwatch World Cup Community Lead. So you guys definitely, if you are in North America, or I guess technically the US, vote for me for Community Lead. The first round of voting ends by the time you hear this in 2 days, so the 17th, and then they'll reveal the top 10. So we're going for a top 10, and then the next round will happen, and there'll be even more campaigning after that. But definitely, a lot of people have reached out and said that they voted already, and it means the world to me. I really appreciate the support that's happened. Hopefully we can get enough votes to get in the top 10 and make it to the next round. Besides that, and besides the Overwatch Super Bowl and BlizzCon tickets, I played almost all of my placement matches. So that was good. I played a lot of Baguette, and she seems really strong. Even so we were playing a 6-stack for a little bit, and then we played against another 6-stack, and we got crushed on Gibraltar, and then we ran it back and played against them again in ranked, and we ended up winning. And I think a lot of it was because I figured out how to play Briquette. Well, maybe not a lot of it, but there was one point at the end of Kings Row on our defense where I was alive for what felt like 20 minutes, 2v6ing with a Zenyatta, just like keeping everyone alive, just like keeping the Zenyatta alive. The Zenyatta's keeping me alive, just smashing. And like, I'm like, don't worry guys, I'm keeping this point health and like getting kills and stuff. It was insane. Yeah. Brigetti is an insane hero. I am very pumped about her, and I'm very pumped to see what Overwatch League players are going to do with her.
Yeah, it's really crazy the amount of just self-sustain. Like if the focus fire is not there, a Bargette can just go absolutely crazy and just keep the point alive for so long. It's really a vast difference from Dive. You know, it's night and day how crazy different the metas are right now.
Yeah,
super excited to start watching.
Like it was crazy. Like I played with randoms afterwards. So obviously we had the 6-stack, and that was a lot of communication. A lot of you guys are already playing on the podcaster team and are just used to communication. That worked great. When I went and played the solo games, I was just in that mindset of like, I need to call out everyone I'm stunning. I need to call out when I'm going to stun. So, and like, I just carried it over, not even thinking that like, I don't want to talk to these people because they're random strangers. I was like, you know what? I'm just going for it. And everyone like jumped onto it. Cause like you're the support. So people kind of listen to the support, but you're also like in the battle line. So it's not like Mercy trying to tell people what to do is kind of like, you're just kind of off, even though like you should listen. It's just something, I think there's something about bronchitis that just makes people want to listen to her because you're in the battle and like stunning people. Like, hey, my stun, you want to shoot, you want to get an easy headshot? I just stunned someone. Okay. You want to get an easy earth shatter off? I just stunned their Reinhardt. Go do stuff. So that was really great. And like I said, I'm really excited to see what Overwatch League is going to do with her. But let us move on to my favorite segment of the show.
Overwatch Today, meme of the week.
This is, of course, the meme of the week. And this is another one of like, this is almost, it's almost not a meme, but I'm calling it out as a meme just because it's like, it's so stupid that it happened. This one is Blizzard not allowing Fusion University players to wear their own jerseys on the stage for contenders. Like, because, and the reason why is because the Fusion University jerseys say FU on the front, right? Because, you know, Fusion University.
Yeah, just like Fordham University is FU as well. Yeah, this one's a little bit of a weird one. And if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, like what's weird about it isn't that Blizzard said, hey, don't put FU on the front of your jerseys. Like that makes complete sense. What's weird is that they let them get this far. right? It's that they didn't squash it when they were like, hey, we're going to go by FU, and your casters are going to be saying FU on broadcast. And
Yeah.
like, so it was like, okay for like the entire stretch leading up to the finals. And then just suddenly once you're on LAN, it's, you know, they just realized what was happening. Like just squash it at the beginning. So it's not a thing. But with that said, I love that they went with FUN.
That is a pretty, a pretty elegant solution.
Listen, the Philadelphia Fusion put the FU in fun. Okay. That's all you need to know. That's the line. I actually really like it, so I'm glad they're not like caving completely and like going away from the meme. But yeah, I
mean, I just like, it's not bad, man. Like literally McCree's belt buckle says Banff on it.
Yeah,
which if you don't know what that means, just look it up if you're of age, and if you're not of age, then well, don't, I guess.
By our own standards, we can't say what two of the words stand for on our own show.
Yeah. So we can say one of them. One of them is mother. That's all you need.
Bad's fine too.
Oh yeah, bad blank mother blank. Yeah. So just take a guess at what that is. That is in the game, and apparently there was something. I read something else about like Tracer says something that's like, it's slang and it doesn't really mean anything in America, but it's a pretty bad word in Britain. I don't remember what word it is. It might be like wanker or something that like it means not like it's just a silly word to us, but it's like kind of a pretty derogatory term in Britain. But maybe it might be something else. I don't remember. But it's like this isn't bad. It's like if it was like Fusion University, you know, child kids and it's spelled out F-U-C-K. Okay, don't let that be on, okay? I get it. But just F-U, come on, man. Like that's not bad. It's like at what point does it stop? And I mean, I know the slippery slope argument is a flawed argument, but like I feel like this is not a point. Like if you just let them have the fun, right? Like there's nothing.
Now they are the fun.
Yeah, they did do the fun. So I guess that I don't know. I guess maybe I'm making more of a point out of it.
To me, it's not doing it. It's like just the timing of it. It's letting it go this long and then deciding this is the time when after they've printed and been selling the jerseys. That's so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I don't know. Whatever. I don't really care that much. It just seems dumb, and it's like, what a stupid thing to like make a point out of at all. But I don't know. We'll see. But let's move on to not my favorite segment of the show, but definitely my favorite thing that I made for it. My favorite drop that I made.
It's high news.
It's the dumbest one. It's high news. The biggest piece of news here is that we will not be seeing Effect for Stage 4 from the Dallas Fuel. So A. Smith, Bob, you guys might want to be getting your blue bags ready for the Blue Bag podcast because it's looking like it is going to be needed. Really nothing more to be said here from us that we haven't already said about Effect and about the Dallas Fuel. Is there anything else to add here?
It was questionable how he was going to fit into the meta anyways, but what wasn't questionable was he was basically their highest skilled player on the team. So no matter how you plan to use him, I think they would have been there. You know, they're going to miss the fact that they don't have his skill level on the stage with him here. It's going to be a rough go. You know, if you want to know how we think Dallas is going to fill out their roster, again, check out Foul Play for that. But it's going to be a rough go for the Dallas Fuel here. Hopefully the new meta in itself just gives their guys enough of a shakeup, to find a way to get comfortable.
Seagull's pretty versatile.
Right. They don't need to do much to have what would be considered for them a successful stage here. Like if they can get 3 wins in the stage, that's great. They can just go, okay, we're building, like we're rebounding, like things are better now. You know, they can put that face on and go forward with it. You know, what they need to avoid is losing their first match against the Shanghai Dragons and, stuff like that. So it's going to be a little rough. We'll get into that matchup specifically in a little bit, but so it's going to be a rough go for Dallas and their fans, but you've stuck with them this far. They're already out of the playoffs. If you're still rooting for them now, nothing's going to change here. So,
right.
overall, I'm more worried. The biggest bit of news here is that, like, if you read Effect's tweets, the dude needs to see like a psychiatrist. This isn't even like a judgment thing.
Yeah.
Mental illness is nothing to mess around with.
Yeah.
The way he's talking, I don't think people with that are completely healthy mentally would make comments like that. Things like, especially not in public when you're in the spotlight a little bit, being an Overwatch League player. So I just. Everything else aside, we had the conversation when he left about whether, what we thought his future would be. And I don't want to go too into that because at the moment, at least, the biggest concern needs to just be his well-being. And hopefully, if he's not coming back to the United States to be with the team throughout this, if they are, great, because I hope Dallas is doing what they can to get him the help that he needs. If he's not and he's still in Korea, I don't know anything about Korean culture to know if this is a thing, but in some cultures and a little bit in ours as well here in America, like, it's thought of as a bad thing to like need to see, a psychiatrist or a shrink or something like that. And it shouldn't be. It should be something everybody should do, at some point. Whether or not it's a standing weekly visit or anything is a different story, but there's no negative connotation to that or anything like that. So he just needs to get some help and get better and do whatever he can to try to make a comeback and get back in the league.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one of the more talented players in the league, regardless of some of the outside of the game stuff that's happening. Hopefully he gets the help that he needs, and hopefully season 2 he'll be in a good spot for him and for whatever team he's playing for, whether it's the Dallas Fuel or someone else. So no effect for stage 4. Definitely disappointment for Dallas Fuel fans, though. I mean, the Boston Uprising, rallied behind the loss of a star player for a whole stage. So, well, I mean, except for the playoffs, but except for the finals, but
in the first week when they still had their players,
right? Yeah,
but pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. But yeah. Oh, another piece of news that I don't think was out the last episode we had, but has been pretty much confirmed for quite some time. Kai now officially part of the Houston Outlaws. Maybe we did talk about this. I don't know. It all blurs together.
We talked about him joining, but it wasn't official at the time. So we've kind of already given our analysis on that. I think Inven did is Inven the right now? I'm getting the name of the outlet wrong, but there was a nice article about why Houston believes in him, and I skimmed it. I didn't get a chance to read it completely. So, but there, there's a good amount of information that kind of came out about this, and the only thing I want to remind people is, yes, Kaikai's tenure with the Dallas Fuel as the head coach was rough, but just remember, like, this happens all the time in sports, that a head coach gets fired from the head coaching job, goes into a sub coaching job, and it works out honestly better than hiring some random person out of like college or something like that usually does. It's got a pretty good track record. So make your memes and tell your jokes, but at the end of the day, I think it's any team would have been lucky to sign Kai into that particular role, which is a player development role from the sounds of it. So.
Yeah, it just well, I mean, he's obviously coming from a player perspective, so on a successful team. So definitely a different type of perspective. And I mean, if Houston is buying into him, it almost seems like that's already better off for him than the Dallas Fuel, and giving him a chance to actually do stuff. And maybe he'll give some shakeups to Houston that they kind of needed. Maybe if Kai were there earlier, he would have maybe
kind of already did. Like we saw like his May strategy on Nepal come out a little bit at the end of last stage. So his fingerprints were being seen on the team before they even officially signed him, and it was inked. So, it's they won when they used that strategy.
Yeah.
It's something I don't know that Dallas can say that, but it's something Houston can. So, thumbs up. I'm glad to have him as a Houston fan. So.
Yeah, so that's good. Other piece of news here, and this will lead us kind of into our tournament talk as well. But we've got the maps for Stage 4. We have the first 4 confirmed maps, and then by process of elimination, we are, I'd say, 99 to 100% sure what the tiebreaker map is going to be. But for the hybrid, we're going to see Blizzard World and Kings Row. Assault, we're going to see Hanamura and Horizon Lunar Colony.
Yeah, Horizon Lunar Colony.
Boo! That map just, oh man, I just get sick every time I see.
Better than Potato Gardens.
It's not better than Potato Gardens for me, because I just have a horror. I wake up in a cold sweat just thinking of Janice just jumping onto that platform on the left side of point 1 over and over again, just feeding ultimate charges, feeding kills, and just throwing the game away so many times on that map. God, I think that map has had more upsets on it than like anything else. That was the map originally that I think the first time the Los Angeles Gladiators beat the London Spitfire, back when that was not even, no one was even thinking. I think that was in preseason. No one was even thinking about that as even like a remote possibility, and it happened. But yeah, so we'll see Horizon Lunar Colony as well. Control, we'll get Lijiang Tower and Oasis. Escort, we've got Dorado and Gibraltar. And then the tiebreaker map, again, not technically confirmed, but by process of elimination, we deduced that the tiebreaker map is going to be Nepal. Yeah,
our deduction there was based off every other King of the Hill map has already served as a tiebreaker. There's a very clear rotation to it. Like Blevins said, we are 99.999 to 100% positive that will be the tiebreaker. But we don't have official
with our disinfectant.
It's true. And yeah, we just are waiting for the actual official confirmation. Should come whenever the Watchpoint episode drops. Usually,
yeah. But so there's your map pool for stage 4, and let's move on into.
It's tournament talk.
Got some tournament talk, and we are going to talk a little bit. We'll kind of go over this one quickly because, like you said, a lot of this was covered in the Foul Play episode. So definitely check that out. Again, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's got its own podcast feed, FOWL Play. That's the Fantasy Overwatch League play episode. Goes over a lot of this. We're going to talk a little bit about our power rankings, and you'll see we're actually pretty close here.
Not too many differences.
Not a lot of differences, but there is definitely.
Why don't you read yours, and I'll talk about the differences in mine.
I'll read mine. First and foremost, I think is pretty much everyone's, although for what it's worth, it's been mine since the beginning, just saying. NYXL. Up there at number 1. I don't think anyone's really going to give you too much guff for that one. I don't think anyone has any reason to even think of the ability to. So that one, just wipe your hands clean. That's an easy one. NYXL number 1. Number 2, London here. And here, I mean, we talked a little bit about this before, but London obviously has been a strong team for quite some time. They struggled a little bit in the last stage here and there, but overall they're just a strong team. They're a deep team, and Death, you were mentioning that they are probably going to fit these new meta changes quite well.
Yeah, so Birdring's been a little iffy for them lately. I also have him at number 2 as well. And when another thing too, so yeah, they're having issues with Birdring, getting the same value that they were getting out of him in stage 1 and stage 2. Also, the map pool was a very well-identified factor in their issues last stage. That will change as well. But also going into this, supposed triple support meta, that means 1 DPS player. So if Birdring's struggling, it doesn't really matter. You can just put him on the bench and let Prophet take over and be at full speed. So I think that's going to give them a really good opportunity to bounce back and have a really strong stage. And the other thing here is when you look at the maps for this team in particular, it is really crazy. Watchpoint Gibraltar, they are 5-0. When we look at Dorado, they are 6-2. Horizon Lunar Colony, they are 7-0. Hanamura, they are 4-1. I mean, it is basically down the line. Kings Roast 3-3. Blizzard World's a bad map for them. Fine, they're at 1-4. When we look at the Koth maps, their best Koth map is the one not in the stage. So they're not completely out of the woods here, but they're kind of even go at the Koth maps, except for Oasis, which is brutal. But they did show improvement at that last stage. As it was forced to be so important in all their matches, they found a way to improve on it. So I feel pretty confident London's going to be able to bounce back quite a bit here. There's just too many very, very good maps for them. And then you go into a tiebreak that is really just, anything but Oasis is a pretty big boost for that. So I think they're going to have a good go of it this stage. 2 might be a little too high, but I have some faith. I like them.
Yeah, I like them too. I mean, I don't like them as a team, but I like them as a number 2 on the power rankings. They're just they're a safe pick. They're a strong team. They're a deep team. Now, number 3 is where we start to differentiate here. And I could definitely see, I mean, I could definitely see an argument on both sides, but I'm going here with Boston. Obviously, traditionally, at the beginning of a stage, with the exception of last stage, they've been very weak at the beginning and then ramped up. Last stage was the exception to that rule, where they obviously had the near perfect stage, and then lost in the stage playoffs. But I mean, there's something to be said about a team that has gone from being the absolute bottom of the barrel to being undefeated in the stage. They beat, they're one of the few teams to beat NYXL at all. I mean, obviously, the new meta and the new map pool is not necessarily favoring them. I know we look at that later on, but I'm going with a gut here more than the old. And it's also even given that stuff, it's hard to look at them as the same team as they were back then when they played a lot of these maps, because obviously it was a different meta back then. They were there's a lot of different things to consider. I'm going off of the fact that they've improved. They've just been so versatile, at least in terms of weathering the storm for the last stage. I think they're going to be able to continue it here. That's why I've got them at number 3. I could definitely see an argument for moving them down, but I've got them at number 3 for now.
I've got them at number 6, so I've got it. There's a wide variety of outcomes here for the Boston Uprising in this stage. Listen, they just lost their head coach, so I expect there to be a bit of a letdown from that. But like you said, you look at these maps, okay, they're 4-2 on Horizon Lunar Colony, so that's not too bad. I'll wake you guys up when they win on Hanamura, though. They have not managed that yet. They're sitting at 0-5. Ilios is by far their best control map. It is the one it is in this stage, so that is an advantage for them. They're 9-2 there. I'm trying to think, it's Ilios not in the pool, and that's a very good one for them. Basically, very similar to Oasis. They're 12-3 on. Then we look at Nepal, they're 4-6, so the tie break's a little rough for them. Their worst control. I think that's going to cause them to lose an extra match or two than maybe they normally would if it was a different tie break. Yeah. They love to go to 5, so hopefully if that continues, it's going to be a little harder for them to pull out all those wins they got in the last stage. Also, when we look at the other maps, Blizzard World's good for them. I mean, they're a good team, so they've got a good number of good maps here, but Kings Row's only 3-2. And Blizzard World's, again, 3-1-1. So Verdict's still kind of out on Blizzard World, though. It's going to change a lot with the spawn point adjustment that I assume is going to get made. But when we look at the escort maps, which is their bad game mode, Dorado's 2-4, and Gibraltar is 1-4. So there's a couple really bad maps in this pool for Boston. Now, maybe the head coach swings those around. And like you said, some of them were a while ago. They were a very different team in stage 1. So, but I think you have to look at it and say that it does a pretty good job of identifying what maps the team is able to strategize for, understand the importance of the high ground and the different spots to fight. Things like that, there's a lot that has to go into this. I could see them anywhere from like 2 to 8 in power rankings or at the end of the stage. Luckily for them, though, they did a phenomenal job last stage and are in a really, really good spot. Even with a down stage, they should be just fine. So
yeah, they would need to bomb pretty bad. I mean, and also, well, no, yeah, I mean they are in the good division, the Atlantic division, but that'll just keep them from getting a bye unless I'm just assuming that NYXL is going to end that number 1. But yeah, so we'll continue on with mine. So we actually go back to agreeing here. With Houston at number 4, and I'll give the quick on mine. We talked about this again. We talked about this before. If we imagine that Brigitte is in, that leads us to believe that maybe Junkrat is in, because Junkrat is like a natural counter, a natural good synergy there. Who's good at Junkrat? Jake, and it goes on and on. The meta, generally, as we predict it to be, is going to favor what Houston is generally good at. Now, maybe the meta doesn't shift out that way. Maybe you know, it just doesn't work out the same, but, you know, all things are pointing towards it being a good meta for Houston. Oh, yeah, a meta that doesn't necessarily involve Tracer. Who does that benefit? The team that isn't necessarily benefit, but it certainly doesn't hurt the team that doesn't have a good Tracer player or a dedicated Tracer player. Anything else here for Houston?
Yeah, basically, when you look at this, the closest stage that we have to the meta that's upcoming, and granted, it's really, really different. So we could be pretty wrong on this one, to be perfectly honest. And what I did with my power ranks here is I assumed everybody was going to get a very good Brigitte player, because we don't know who's going to do it. We don't know how they're going to be at it. It's going to be a little crazy. So I just assumed everybody was getting the same level of very good Brigitte play. And how is it going to work? And that's obviously a flawed system. But yeah, the closest stage we've seen to what we're going to see coming up is stage 1. They were in second place this stage. They're kind of the only team that I think has a chance to kind of do what Boston did last stage, right? And finish better than New York and finish as the #1 team. Like, they're the only team that kind of has that potential in my mind, or at least the most likely team that has that potential. I'm still not betting on it. I'm still, you know, New York's still going to be the top team at the end of the stage. Even if they go 10-0 like Boston did, I'm still going to say New York's the better team at the end. Spoiler alert, because New York's got a big advantage and might rest people, do whatever they want in this stage, to be honest. So, but yeah, when you look at the map pool specifically as well for Houston, it's really, really strong. They are combined 38 and 26 on these maps, which might not sound super impressive, but it percentage-wise is very, very good. And also you have to consider this is I think like the 7th place team, right? So they're in the bottom half, which means their record's not great, but these maps were the things that were like saving them and making them super good. So I think they're going to help them a lot. And regardless of which direction the meta goes, whether it's New Hanzo or not, honestly, if New Hanzo's not in stage 4, it's even better for Houston. I'd have put him at number 3. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly, you know, how this plays out, but everything seems like it's lining up for Houston. At the end of the day, though, you still have to ask yourself, like, I mean, it's never really made sense that they've been playing Clockwork. Are they just going to stop? Like, you know, so there's a lot
of... Kai's just like, get him out of here.
Hopefully, I don't know. Or he goes and fixes him. I think that would be an even better scenario, but I won't hold my breath on that one. But
I mean, Kai famously on Cloud9. You know who else was on Cloud9 that's on the Houston Outlaws?
No.
Mendo.
Oh, your best friendo. Should have guessed. But yeah, so, you know, whichever direction this goes, Lynxer's a really, really good Hanzo player. We've seen that quite a bit. And I think what you're going to want is your Hanzo to be able to flex to Widowmaker. Widowmaker and Junkrat are going to be a part of this meta in some capacity. So that will obviously favor Houston as well. Whether they're fringe picks that come in on specific maps, you know, like Lunar Colony Point 2, stuff like that. We'll have to wait and see. But it's finally going to be in a spot where Houston can just, I think, if they want to, who knows, just roll their best players out there and have them be in really comfortable maps and really comfortable hero
selections.
They've just been doing
this the whole time.
They could have been, but reasons, stuff, and things, so they haven't. But yeah, we can move on here because we'll talk a little more about Houston.
We'll be talking more about all these teams with the matchups too. Number 5 here, I've got Seoul Dynasty. You've actually got them up at 3. Yes. Seoul, they're a tough one to evaluate here. Again, like, obviously, like, if you take past experiences, at least from the last stage out, you know, they've been in the top 3 for the entirety of Overwatch League since before the preseason. Everyone's had them up there. They've been a very strong team. They've been a very dominant team. And then sometimes they just shoot themselves in the foot. For what reason? I don't know. But I feel like I guess if they're going to do it, if they're going to fix things, it's got to be now, right? Or else you're just throwing your chances of a stage championship out. So, I really, it was tough for me to put Seoul down, and definitely tough for me to put them down so low. But they've just shown time and time again that, like, they're willing to do crazy things, and it's not been working.
Yeah, it's hard to trust them. I don't think I would pick Seoul to like finish 3rd in the stage standings. But when you're talking about teams I'm scared of, I don't, and that's kind of what I do with my power rankings. Is who's am I like most afraid to play right now. And when you're talking about a meta that might allow them to put Jaehong on Brigitte, for example, he could play that role, which would allow them to bring Gambler and Toby in So I think that the triple support might force them to settle down some of the ridiculousness that they've been doing, and maybe the Reinhardt switch. Like, they clearly haven't been happy with their Winston play, but I think Kuki's going to do just fine on Reinhardt. I think he's a better Reinhardt than Miro is, so I'm expecting him to come in there. I would probably, if I'm predicting their finish, I would say, like, I would put it at like maybe 4 or 5, somewhere in that range. But until I know what their lineup is, like, right, like I can look at a lineup that I think is pretty terrifying. So on paper right now, I did bump them up a little bit just for the sheer potential factor. But I would be surprised if I was right and it was the Korean teams 1-2 this stage. So
yeah, I agree with you. Honestly, I would not be surprised if Seoul pulled it off. I just couldn't, just given what they did all of last stage, I just couldn't put it down. I just couldn't put them any higher. I really couldn't put them above Boston because of that. I guess maybe I factored in last stage a little bit too much, but it is the most recent thing. So I guess recency bias is a real thing. But moving on, I've got the LA Gladiators here at number 6, mostly because I can't have a number 6 spot that's not filled by an LA team. That's just a thing. It just has to happen. When I initially made the rankings, I had NYX at 1, LA Valiant at 6, and Shanghai at 12. I'm like, okay, these are the constants of Overwatch. These things have that.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, maybe not. NYX at 1 is, but Valiant or Gladiators here, definitely a little bit weaker than they looked stage 2 and then beginning of stage 3. Again, like, they definitely could overperform here, but you mentioned earlier, they really don't have other support players, and if there's triple support metas, then is Hydration, is Asher going to be a support player? Maybe, I don't know. I guess like maybe Hydration
be a Tracer player. So
yeah,
they're gonna
support player.
They're a little tough to kind of stat out in place here. I mean, I think we know exactly what Big Goose and Shaz will be doing. That's fine. The easy money, I think, is on Surefour to play the Hanzo. He's kind of got that flexibility to go into Widowmaker if the opponent, if you need to contest a Pharah, something along those lines. But we don't know how they're going to handle a triple support meta because they only have the 2. So there's definite questions, and I haven't seen Surefour play the Hanzo. I assume it's going to be him. I also assume Hydration, being a projectile specialist, could do a pretty bang-up job at it. So I don't know exactly how they're going to handle this, and it does make me a little nervous because their roster is not really deep enough to be able to change the number of support players that you're playing. So I'm worried about how they're going to handle it, but I also think there's a decent chance like Bishu picks up the Brigitte and does fine, and things like that. So this is another team with a wide array of outcomes here, and they've got Void as well. So Void and Bishu are both good Diva players. One of them could pick up Brigitte and probably just be fine. But I'm a little worried that, their Hanzo play is going to lack compared to, like, I think Fleta and Libero and Linkser, and there's a couple other ones as well that are going to be very, very good Hanzos that are kind of defining how that meta works and how it plays out. And until I see them perform with a Hanzo at that level, it's hard to just assume somebody's going to be able to match the guys that we've seen it from and seen them play it really, really well when it wasn't even good.
Right. And the one thing I'll say is an argument when we were kind of just spitballing this earlier that I think you had a really good response to is like, I'm like, well, all these pro players, I mean, they can probably just play support, right? And it's like, well, yeah, but can they play it at a high tier professional Overwatch League level? Like, yeah, they're going to be playing support better than you, but not better than Fleta, and they're not going to be better than maybe the best Brigittas in the world.
They're all on stream one tricking Hanzo right now because it's too fun not to. Like, you just have to live in that world if you're a player. But like. And this is a conversation you can hear some of them have too. Is like, why don't you play this hero on stage or whatever? Well, because I can play it at comp doesn't mean I can make all the call outs I need to do. I know the role within the team. Like, it's such a different ball game to be playing, even at the highest level of competitive compared to the Overwatch League stage. The amount of synergy and everything that's needed is so magnified. It's so difficult
and like
to switch roles like that.
what if you're game planning specifically for a team, and where where Pine likes to set up, so you're like zeroing in on where Pine is likely going to be and shooting
in
just
front of his
shooting arrows.
Reinhardt shield on the low ground in the worst possible
maybe
spot.
Pine wasn't the best example
dead
there.
anyways.
Yeah, doesn't even get close to mattering. But where Fleta likes to set up his Widowmaker, so you're just shooting arrows as Hanzo there to try to try to gimp him randomly. That's not necessarily something you're going to be set up just because you can click heads well. So if you're not practicing with the team as that, you shouldn't be playing it in the game, obviously. So moving on, and of note, you've got Gladiators just a little bit lower. We've got a couple of swaps here, but for the most part, the rest of our rankings are about the same. Next up, I've got Philly. Granted, this puts Philly out of the playoffs in my mind. I could definitely see looking back, I could definitely see flipping LA Gladiators and Philadelphia Fusion here. But biggest thing for Philly here was that stage 3 for them was the return of bad Philly coming out and rearing its ugly head. And man, is that a scary thing as a Philadelphia Fusion fan.
Bad Philly in this meta might mean my whole team just died to a dragon. We just got comboed into the ground and we weren't ready for and so it could potentially get really bad if they're going to be inconsistent. The synergy has to be on point for Deathball. It seems like the easier strategy, but one person out of position doing something just a little bit wrong means headshot, they're dead. And
right.
Fight's over. So.
One thing to note here, the wild card factor for Philly here is Sado unlocks at some point during this stage. Maybe
immediately.
He's unlocked right now. So the hype may be real for Sado to be able to play. Is he going to be a fissure and just come out and just wreck stuff, or is he going to be I don't know, of an example of someone who completely flopped? I guess the opening weeks of Sinatra and Super were just okay.
If you need a flop tank, go Coco.
Well, not a flop tank, just a flop person who wasn't able to play and then or switch teams or something. I don't know. Gotcha. Regardless, there hasn't really been a big example of it yet. So
yeah, and on their DPS side of things, EQO is probably the best Hanzo, but what are you going to do? Bench Carpe? And we have no idea who's going to be the Bargette player for this team either. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. Philly, one of the hardest teams to pin down what they're going to do with their players, and because of that, it makes it very hard to put them high up, though I did put them at 5.
But speaking of pinned down, we may get to see more Fraggy with some Rectangle Man.
Oh, man. So great.
Ooh, it might be a very good time to be a Philadelphia Fusion fan, but it can also be a very scary time as well. Next up, I've got the LA Valiant here at number 8. You also have Valiant at 8. Same thing I've always said about Valiant. Nothing exciting for them, except for that couple of weeks where they looked really hot and they kind of cooled down. Like you said, I'll give you credit where credit's due. They were never really as good as their easy schedule at the beginning led us to believe. But they're a team that can compete. They'll probably lose the matches that they're not supposed, or that they'll lose the matches that they're supposed to lose, and they'll win the matches they're supposed to win. We've seen it we've actually seen it even before before Overwatch League started, when they were Immortals. They are a sine wave of a team, and the middle I don't remember the math terms enough, but the 0 point of their ranking is the 6th best team, right at number 6. Sometimes they go way up, then they hit number 6 and they go way down and up, down. They're on a down right now. They're on an up at the beginning of the stage. Maybe they'll be able to put something together, string a couple of wins together. They need to, right? They're on the outside looking in right now, I think, for the first time.
No, they're at 5.
Oh, they are at 5. Okay.
Yeah. They're okay, and they're actually only 1 game behind Seoul, who they play in the first week, so they could be sitting in the 2 seed, because it would be the top of their division very, very fast after the first week. So, but yeah, I'm with you. they're a hard team to pin down with all their roster changes that they're making. We have no idea who Birgit's going to be. They don't really have a Hanzo player on deck, one that really stands out as should play it. They just feel a little ill-equipped for this meta. So I'm even farther.
But I can play the Brigitte. I know
he might play. He literally might play.
I've been practicing the Brigitte. I have my shield stun down.
He never had Winston in his kit, and Unlocked could legitimately play this stage. Again, it's like, I'm not betting on it, but it's possible. It's probably going to be fate, but I can't rule it out. I can't rule it out. I'm on team Unlocked.
Boy, oh boy, are they going to look silly if McCree is back in this meta. But or at least they're going to have a really good McCree coach to coach their player.
McCree is in the meta, but he picked up a bow and arrow.
Yeah. Exactly. That makes no sense whatsoever. Number 9, we got San Francisco. I've got San Francisco Shock. You also. Well, we're basically almost exactly the same here on out. San Francisco Shock, number 9. For what it's worth, this is up for me. I usually have him pretty far
Super's going to
down.
be swinging that Rhine hammer like crazy.
Yes, the blood-soaked hammer. I don't know who I'm more excited for, Super or Fraggy. I don't know.
I think Sinatra is going to be playing the Zarya, which he's definitely known to do. Nevix is not really known for that in the past. He's known for his absurd flexibility, so he feels like a really, really viable Garbetta player here. So I think you can go with that and kind of pencil him in there. Again, this is another one of those teams that I don't know that they've got the Hanzo lined up, but we're not sure they're going to need it. But there's a couple things that do line up here for San Francisco. I think they've got a chance to be that dark horse stage playoff contender.
Yeah.
But it's really hard until you see it. It's been so long since I've seen Super swing that hammer, and it's really hard to know. We know the impact a big boost that main tank can give you. And I think that's what they're going to need. They're going to need Super to be considerably better Reinhardt than he is Winston. That's what he's known for from his past. So there's a good shot at it. But show me, San Francisco. Show me consistency. Show me the ability to contest and beat some of these higher up Korean teams. And I'll buy in very quickly on you early in the stage.
The last time we saw Super swinging the hammer, he literally had to miss the first round of a tournament to do SAT prep, I think. I think that's how long ago it was. But moving on, we both got Florida Mayhem here at number 10, which, again, is up for them.
Yes.
They've been improving week over week, which has been really great. Again, I'm not predicting the spike up here, into the 7, 8, 9 ballpark, but if they can get if they can get their win against Shanghai, if they can beat Dallas, if they can beat Shock, if they can put up a W against one of the LA teams, all of a sudden we're talking about them in the running here. Not really for a stage playoff or anything necessarily, but just as a contending team going into season 2, maybe some shakeups in the off season and whatnot can really put them into the conversation here. They're all but mathematically, and they might even be mathematically eliminated from. They probably are from season playoffs here, but everything that almost makes it better for them because all they're playing for is a stage playoff.
And we might get the entrances back.
I don't think we're going to get the entrances back, but you never know. I think they might know. They've said multiple times that they're not going to. But that would be the biggest con ever, to just continually deny them and then come out stage 4 ready for them.
Once you're eliminated from the playoffs, why not have the fun? Why not? That's my question to you, Florida. Why? Yeah. But honestly, a fun team to look at. Tavik is the perfect Hanzo player for them. Yep. I think he pencils right in there. When we look, I think Zappis is going to be involved. I think he's a very good baguette player, option for them at that particular role. Also, he could play the Zarya, and Manitin could play Bargette as well. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how they're going to play it. The one thing that worries me is how are you going to fit Saya player into the lineup, because he's been looking good, and I would want to play him
real good. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Up next at number 11, this is where we've got the flip-flop here. I took the coward's way out.
did.
I took the coward's way out. I've
No
got
bets.
Dallas at 11 and Shanghai at 12. You took the pioneers route of putting Shanghai above Dallas here.
I did.
I mean, it kind of I could see it. I mean, Gaguri on Zarya, that's exciting.
Gaguri goes to Zarya. I think with how good Ado has looked, I think he's got a good chance to be a very solid Hanzo player. Fun fact, Blevins, you missed the foul play episode. Do you want to know who one of the top 5 tanks in Fantasy Overwatch League was for Stage 3?
Who is that?
Fearless. Fearless statistically has been a beast in this last stage. I think he's a notable Reinhardt player as well. I think he's going to give them a solid boost. But I do think Gaguri is kind of the thing that tips the scales here. Again, I mentioned it a couple episodes. I think she's been, a very good average diva player in the league. She's been doing well. But what she excels at and what she specializes in is Zarya, which is what's going to be coming up. It's absurd to see what she can do on that particular hero. So I'm excited for that. But the support line is still the big question mark here. That's why it's very hard to move them any farther than this, no matter how
They
high
have
you
5
get.
Lucio
Also
players.
their record. But I think you have a decent chance to put 5 King on the Barget role and just kind of run with that. I think Lucio players, the execution of the shield slam, everything like that is very similar to a boop from Lucio. You kind of position yourself in the same spot. You time it with things to get the maximum value out of it. And also there's a bit of a boop effect on the hero as well. When you press shift, you can send somebody backwards.
The bonk on the head.
Yeah, I think there's some similar execution stuff there for Shanghai. So with effect gone, I'm sorry, Dallas fans. I think you might be the worst team in the league this stage. It's weird to say because I've been constantly telling people, don't predict this to happen until it happens. And then here we are.
Yeah, I just couldn't. I took the coward's way out, but I definitely agree with everything you said. I very easily could see Shanghai taking this one over Dallas. But we are actually going to talk about our picks in just a second when we
let's
break it down. We've got some matches to talk about here, including many, if not all, of the teams we just talked about. But starting off on Wednesday, the return of Stage 4, we've got LA Gladiators versus San Francisco Shock. We both got Gladiators winning 3-0 here. 78% of the fans are in favor of the Gladiators.
Listen, it's Stage 4. It's desperation time with the pick'ems. That number is a little bit too high. I'm not buying into an 80% likelihood here for the Gladiators. With all the shakeups and all the differences, this is definitely one of your kind of long odds flips if you're getting desperate. So very much so consider this one. But as of right now, this is still a tier difference here. We're not talking about teams that are really in the same tier. The Gladiators are squarely in the middle, the Shocker at the top of the bottom. And so I've got to give this one tentatively in the Cowards 3-0 fashion.
I could see this one flipping, if stage the stage ecosystem, if you will, could definitely favor one team over the other. This given the 78% or 78% of fans, this is definitely a good flip, like Death was saying, if you're looking for points here. Moving on, we've got Seoul Dynasty versus LA Valiant. I've got Seoul with the Cowards 3-0. You've got Seoul with the 3-0.
It's the Cowards?
Yeah.
And I put a question mark because that's how unsure I am on this one. And when we look at the maps, get our buddy the coin ready to go.
Well, real quick, 56% of the fans are in favor of the LA Valiant here.
I can't even hate it as long as it's not like more than 60%. It's not crazy.
Right.
But looking at the maps, Blizzard World is 2-2-1 for Seoul and 2-3 for the Valiant. That's effectively a push. We're going to skip Horizon for now. It's the one decisive map when we look at it. Lijiang Towers 5-2 for Seoul, 6-2 for the Valiant. A slight edge to the Valiant there. But basically a push as well. Gibraltar 3-3 for Seoul, 3-2 for Valiant. That's a push. Even the tiebreak is 6-5 on Nepal for Seoul and 6-4 for the Valiant. Horizon Lunar Colony though and this is why I'm giving it to Seoul in the 3-0, and you can completely throw it out because it's only one map that's decided. So the Valiant can just win the other 3 and it doesn't matter, or win 2 of the other ones and then go get Nepal. But it is 0-5-1 for the Valiant on Horizon Lunar Colony, 3-3 for Seoul. It's not like Seoul's good at the map, just Valiant are bad at it. It is the smallest of margins possible. This one is a true
Pretty
coin
small
flip.
sample size.
So let's see what our buddy the coin.
All right, we're gonna give heads to the Seoul Dynasty here. Oh god, I can't see. It's too dark in my room. Ooh, the coin is leading with the Valiant here, going with the fans. The coin's going with the fans and not with the hosts. The coin is resentful.
He betrayed us, Blevins. Throw him away.
He did betray us, but we need him later, perhaps. Up next is quite possibly the show match of the week. We've got the Dallas Fuel versus the Shanghai Dragons.
We just bought tickets to the Super Bowl, and we all get to watch the Toilet Bowl this week.
Yeah. We've got. I'm picking the Cowards Dallas 3-0, which, by the way, is me taking your advice.
Smart.
You've got the Pioneers 3-0 for Shanghai, and boy, oh boy, the fans are spicy this week. They've got Shanghai. 65% of them have Shanghai this week.
I don't want anything to do with logic this stage, Blevins. I'm going gut feel here.
Well, it worked for me the first 3 stages.
Yeah. I'm in 20th place in the pick'em. I'm not going to make waves without something like this here. Yeah. I mean, it's not even going to make up ground, but this is remarkably close for a team that hasn't won yet.
Yeah,
this is a remarkable.
Literally the losingest team in professional sports history.
Yes. And I'm calling it here. I don't know why. I take it back already. I don't have confidence.
No takesy backsies.
But this is literally, I mean, this is a coin flip of a match without effect there. I just don't know that the skills there. They're skilled players. Like, there's no place for Soldier in this meta. Like, AKM's just on the bench, and if he's on the stage, then I have confidence in this pick. Like, it's just the way, the way it's going to work. Dallas is hard to figure out, but maybe, I mean, I can buy into them being able to win those 3, but I wouldn't bet on it. I'm more confident Shanghai gets 2 than I am Dallas gets 3. I don't know. If this was later in the stage, I think Dallas would be able to figure out something to put them in a position to get this win, but because they just have to come up with their plan without their head coach that they have, they haven't replaced yet, and they just got to figure it out. It's going to be a little on the brutal side here for them. So the timing, everything goes in the Shanghai Dragons' favor. I think the meta favors them a little more.
The crowd is going to be going wild.
The crowd's going to be all over the Shanghai Dragons here. So I've said it from the beginning: the Dragons will win a match this season. And I don't like being wrong, so I need to be right here. So I'm doubling down.
You're getting it.
Right, I'm doubling down on that statement that I made on like ATP number 2. And trying to be right on both accounts. So.
Yeah, it makes sense. You got to follow through with error. Shout outs to 10th grade math. Moving on, we've got I guess this isn't really a classic rivalry, kind of. Boston Uprising versus Philadelphia Fusion here. I've got Boston 3-0. You've actually got Philly 3-0. 81% of Boston is 81% of fans are in favor of Boston. So explain yourself.
I want the fans to explain themselves. I think you should be explaining yourself. Listen, this is a tale of the maps here, so let's take a look at them. We've got Kings Row is 3-2 for both of these teams, so that's a push. I will, again, this is a situation where I will wake you up when Boston wins on Hanamura. It hasn't happened yet. They are 0-5. Now, like you said, it's been a long time. They're a different team since then. Deathblow. Philadelphia 6-1. So it's squarely in Philadelphia's favor. It's not unwinnable for Boston. A clear advantage to Philly, though. Looking at Li Jiang, 6-5 for Boston, 8-2 for Philadelphia. So there's an advantage there. Going to Dorado, this one's closer. Okay, 2-4 for Boston, 3-2 for Philadelphia. That's a significant advantage in my mind. It's not a game-breaking one. It's just not a push, right? It's a full-on small advantage to the Philadelphia Fusion there. And then when we go into the tiebreaker map, 4-6 for Boston, 6-6 for Philadelphia. Just again a small advantage. So small advantages across the board for Philadelphia, except for Hanamura, which is massive.
Yeah, nothing in favor of Boston.
Yeah, no map here is favoring the Boston Uprising, who just
Yeah.
lost their coach, who are going to have some trouble
Man,
finding a
you may
Hanzo
have
player to fit into this
moneyballed
meta.
this entirely.
This one should not be 81% people. I don't care that they were 10-0 last stage. This is it's a different. The title of Foul Play was a whole new world. That's where we're living now. Everything is crazy. It's turned on its head. You can't rely on the momentum of the 10-0 last stage carrying them through here.
Especially since that momentum got squashed in the finals. I will bring that up anytime I get a chance to.
I will cheers you every time because it involves Boston.
So, if you are in favor of Boston and you're not me, who is contractually obligated to lock in their picks, this is a really good flip. 81% is definitely high, even not given that sort of map advantage. 81% is
Philly
very
was the
high.
Boston of stage 2. Boston was the Boston of stage 3.
Right.
Like they're two teams that have the ability to play at the highest level.
Right.
Shouldn't be 80% in anyone's favor.
For sure. Moving on, we've got NYXL versus Florida Mayhem. I am very cautiously. You know what? Screw it. I'm going with it. We're 5-0ing Florida Mayhem here. You've got the Cowards 3-0 for New York, and 97% of the fans have New York here.
Who on New York is gonna play LeBret, Blevins? That's what I want to know.
Well, when in doubt, I know it's gonna be Animo. We have 3 supports now. Boom, easy.
That's true, you do,
Easy
but I'm
game.
not. I don't know. It's a little tough to fit New York into the meta, and I that's the only
Nothing's
reason
tough
I'm
with
literally not
Libero.
going with 4-0. It's just. And yeah, Libero's not the problem. Like
Yeah.
he's why they're gonna win against like everybody, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because he's living in a dream scenario where he gets to play his most fun meme hero, like best Hanzo in the world in all likelihood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know who's gonna play Broncheat. I don't know who's gonna play even Zarya for that team. To be perfectly honest with you, they're gonna be a little goofy to fit things in. I mean, presumably Meko, obviously, but what about the world where it's Janus on the Babs here on Bragg Heat?
He's, an aggressive style of play could actually be Could actually be
I
good
wish you
for
could
him.
see the look on his face, podcast listeners. You can tell just looking him in the eyes that he's not buying it.
Aggressive style of play could benefit him because if he's doing more damage, that means he's healing more. So that's a thing, right?
Lucky for you, I assumed everybody was going to be getting the same baseline Brightgate player. So we'll go with New York here to win. But 3-0 because, I don't know. I feel good about Florida in this stage. I mean, not like stage playoffs good, but I just spoiler good.
I don't think they're gonna win, but 5-0. You know what? I'm digging down into it. They're not even gonna they're not even gonna take a point on anything.
The whitewash. The whitewash has been called.
Moving on, we've got Houston Outlaws versus London Spitfire. I've got London here 3-0. You've got Houston 3-2, and this is as close to a coin flip as I think we've seen in a while. 54% of fans are in favor of London Spitfire here. We've got a map breakdown.
54% of fans are ignorant of history. It's never happened, people. We're their kryptonite. I don't care how bad Houston looks. I'm picking them to beat London until it doesn't happen. But we will look at the maps for any of you doubters. And to be perfectly honest with you, they're kind of like good maps across the board for both of them.
Yeah.
So we've got Kings Row 4-2 for Houston, 3-2 for London. We've got 5-1 for Horizon Lunar Colony and 7-0 for London. I think each one of them have a what's it called? A preseason match in the numbers there for what it's worth.
Gotcha.
So I don't know which one was the loss for
differentiate.
Houston. I think they lost it once in the middle of the stage the last time around. But Horizon and Kings were both very, very good maps for Houston. So hard to count them out across the board. Lijiang is definitely in the Spitfire advantage, but it's one of their worst control maps. They're 5-5 there. Non-Oasis control maps. Houston is 3-7. Gibraltar 5-1 for Houston, 5-0 for London. So there's a lot of like push maps here.
Yeah,
and then when
just
we
like
look,
tiny advantages maybe.
yeah, but then we look at the tiebreaker. and it is just the correct tiebreaker for Houston, to be perfectly honest with you, in this stage. 6-3 on Nepal, 5-5 for London. There's a slight advantage there. So even if you're looking at the maps, I think you kind of get this one to a very likely 5-map set, and then you look at the tiebreak, it favors Houston a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, they can't touch us. Change my mind, Akarium. Change my mind, Akarium. Let's go.
Well, let's see if the coin can change your mind. Heads is going to be here for London. Let's see what he's picking. Ooh, the coin is in favor of the London Spitfire.
I just saw you flip it on your hand, though.
I didn't flip it. I've never once changed the coin. I've never once changed the coin. No, I would tell
We've never rigged anything here on High Noon Podcast. That's never happened.
I am not commenting on that. I've never rigged anything with the coin, though. Moving on, we've got Dallas Fuel versus Los Angeles Gladiators. We've both got the Cowards 3-0 for Gladiators, and at the time of me looking, 100% of fans picked the LA Gladiators.
Should be at least 102%.
Yeah, it's a little bit low. I mean, 100 is high, but I still would not pick Fuel here.
Yeah, no number here would make me call this a flip. Again, we've talked about it. When there's a clear tier difference at the start of a stage, when everything's resetting, you just kind of have to rely on that. And right now, Dallas is, like I said, I think going to be the worst team in the stage this time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree almost.
Agree-ish.
Agree-ish. Yes, definitely in the bottom quarter of the teams. Next up, we've got Boston Uprising versus Houston Outlaws. I've got Boston 3-0. You've got Houston 3-1. 91% of fans have Boston here. Death, the maps.
Yeah, Moneyball, people. Moneyball. Kings Row 4-2 for Houston, 3-2 for Boston. A bit of a push, slight advantage to Houston. Again, I'm trying to remember all the circumstances, but there was like some weirdness for the Kings Row at the end of the stage. Like they came out super hot on it, and I think they kind of like backed off prep on it because they just thought it was their map and they were untouchable. Maybe lost it a little bit. So hopefully lesson learned on that one. But I think the map is a little better than the 4-2 record says for Houston as well. So I'm going to call that one for Houston. We go to Hanamura. Again, I'll wake you up when Boston wins on that map. Houston's not great at it, 2-2, but it's not a bad map either.
W's
right, for a team that's, again, in the bottom half of the standings, to have a map advantage on a team that's in second place.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just that speaks volumes about how that map's going to go.
Yeah.
Speaking volumes about how that map's going to go, Boston's going to win Oasis. They are 9-2 there. Yeah. Houston is 4-7. Gibraltar, complete opposite. 5-1 for Houston, 1-4 for Boston. They're not very good there. And if it gets there, which I don't think it does by that, but let's say we flip Kings Row since it's kind of close, which takes us into 5. Nepal is 6-3 for Houston and 4-6 for the Boston Uprising. So the maps speak to an advantage here for the Houston Outlaws. Also, I mean, yes, it was a 4-0 last stage. Dreamcasper was there and dominated in that match. Houston looked like they didn't show up, and the entire rest of the matchup here between these two teams, like it's 2-1 for Houston in this matchup. Don't forget your history, people. If it's 2-1 in favor of a team, there's no way it should be 91%. That's crazy. This is the flip of the week. I think I'm trying to put my homerism aside. You'll hear my homerism when I'm like picking how they're going to do overall, how they're going to get into the playoffs. But like in picking matches, I don't think I've been much of a homer with Houston. This one is on paper in their favor.
And just for those of us who don't know what a homer is and can't context clue, what is a homer?
A homer is just you're picking. I think usually it's for your hometown team. You know, you're rooting for the home team. You're deluding yourself by giving them an advantage because you want to see it happen. So when you hear like a Dallas fan say we got a chance at the stage playoffs this stage, like that's being a homer, right? Yeah. And when you hear me, like I've said silly things like Blevins and stuff, like not out loud when we're recording, like, oops, I'm going to do it right now. Like, I'm feeling it, man. New York versus Houston in the finals. It's going to happen. Like, that's me being a homer. I don't think I'm being a homer with this pick.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I just wanted, I don't know if we've said that on the show or not. I just wanted to clear that up for the non-sports ball people we've got listening in. But yeah, I mean, the money ball of it, it's hard to argue with that, but also
It's not decisive enough that it's like crazy to pick Boston here. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying 91% is like a laughable number for a team that just lost their head coach.
Right.
Is heading into a meta
not
that fits the other
actually
team way better
for the map pool.
Right, and worse on the maps. Like, there's 3 factors that favor Houston here, and the only thing that favors Boston is, well, they were good last stage.
Yeah. Definitely a good one. I agree. Definitely a flip here, for sure.
Flip the coin.
Oh, well, let's give it the coin. All right, heads for Houston.
When we disagree, right? That's the rule here.
Sure, heads for Houston. Man, the coin does not like you today. Coin's got Boston.
I told you tails never fails. You're giving Boston. The coin's drunk.
Heads
the coin is
for
literally
Houston.
The coin is having a week like I had to end last stage. Just brutally bad at picking things. It happens to the best of us, including people that randomize.
Yeah, including literal metal objects, which in fact is the best of us. But let's move on. We've got San Francisco Shock versus Seoul Dynasty here. We both got Seoul here, 3-0. 82% of the fans have Seoul. This is the definition of a tier difference. This might be 2 tiers difference. I can't see Shock.
It's possible, yeah. Seoul might be bottom of the top instead of top of the middle or in the middle of the middle or wherever you want to put them. Again, I'm more scared of Seoul than I am like thinking they're going to be dominant right now, but I just see them fitting very nicely into this meta for whatever reason. It's a bit of a gut call, but I'm a big Seoul believer this stage.
Yeah, the only thing did Seoul. Oh no, never mind. Seoul 4-0'd San Francisco last stage. Never mind. For some reason, I was thinking they beat them, but that is just not the case. I guess that would have been more memorable.
This one should be 91%. Yeah, Boston over Houston.
Agree. Moving on, we've got Philly Fusion versus Fordham Mayhem. We both got Philly here 3-0. 95% of fans are in favor of Philly here. I think Florida has a really good shot against Bad Philly. We saw at the end of stage 1, Bad Philly versus Florida, and Bad Philly ended up winning. But Florida has definitely upgraded since then, and Bad Philly has definitely not upgraded. Like, they're still bad. So, if the stars align, we could see this, but I would not bet on it for sure. Yeah,
I have nothing to add to this one.
Yep, nope. Two of my favorite teams playing against each other, so I'm going to be happy one way or the other. But yeah, I'll also be sad one way or the other, I suppose. Moving on, we've got Shanghai Dragons versus LA Valiant. Both of us are picking the Valiant here with the Cowards 3-0. Valiant, 95% of the fans are picking as well. I mean, any consideration here for Shanghai?
No.
What if they win against Dallas?
No.
Okay. What if they 4-0 Dallas?
No.
All right. What if
that's not a conversation. We're talking. I'm more predicting Dallas to completely shut down than I am like predicting Shanghai to completely flip the script. Yeah. I wouldn't fall out of my chair if Shanghai won twice this stage. I would fall out of my chair if they won twice in a week.
Gotcha. Well, if they win, you heard it here first, folks. If Shanghai wins both games this week, Deathblow will record a video of him falling out of a chair.
You'll hear
and post it on YouTube.
Dude, you'll hear it.
And last match of the week, we've got London Spitfire versus NYXL. I've got New York here 3-0. As well as you, 90% of the fans are in favor of New York. I mean, they 4-0'd them last time. I mean, maybe the meta, I think, at least affords the meta shakeup and perhaps I'm sure New York is more decisive about how they're going to run their roster than we are, obviously, but
right.
maybe that not necessarily being 100% sure on what and who is working best on what affords London at least one map, but I'm not picking them to win here.
Yeah, this is, in our power rankings, I think this is both of our number 2s against our number 1.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, I'm not going to pick New York to lose ever this stage.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, no.
It's probably going to happen once. It has happened every stage. I'll just get that one wrong and call it a day and be like, I went 9-1 picking New York this stage. What do you know? I'm very comfortable with that.
Yep. You'll take your 90%er all day, every day. But that is going to bring us to the end of the episode here. Any iTunes reviews or anything like that?
Well, our service isn't updating still that we were trying to use, so I don't have anything from that. I do check it, but yeah, do a little bit more of the wrap up, and I'll check the actual iTunes page. For
yeah,
US
guys,
reviews.
just a couple of things to remember. We're going to be making a new text channel on the Discord channel for the finals, and when it gets closer, probably BlizzCon is actually definitely BlizzCon as well. So keep an eye out for those. Those will be ones for people talking about going to BlizzCon, meeting up, doing something at BlizzCon, as well as the finals. I don't have anything. We don't have anything planned, set in stone yet. So a lot of your input and feedback, and like people that are going or planning on going, is going to dictate what we're going to do. Oh, sorry, I need to turn this light on. I'm falling asleep.
Wake up, buddy. Wake up, man. We're still in the middle of a show.
I know. It's
Shoot.
because I don't have my light. I didn't turn my light on because it was too hot, and now it's like still hot, and I don't want to turn my light on. My body's falling asleep here. Not because I'm not doing something, because it's dark. Let's see. Overwatch World Cup community lead, guys. If you can, check my pinned tweet on Twitter. That's at @the_Blevins. I've got the link there. Every single vote is going to count. I need to get into that top 10 for community lead, and then the voting will be. We'll go to the next round, and we'll go from there. I don't know what it's going to entail, but maybe. I don't know. I want to get that top 10. Getting that top 10 would be huge. It'd be huge for me. It'd be huge for the show. It would just be great to get that. At least get the name on the ballot after we complained so much the first year about it not being an open ballot. We actually got a chance this year, so that's great. So that will help out a ton. ATP tomorrow, Tuesday, 8 Eastern is when it's going to be recorded tomorrow.
And speaking of ATP, we do have a couple of iTunes reviews here for that.
Go. Delayed enough.
Jump in. 5-star review here from Dino Overload this is for Around the Payload. High stakes, high integrity. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, HNP comes through with a hard-hitting, fast-talking game show that cuts through to the core of Overwatch's hottest debates. Steely-eyed guests answer tough questions unflinchingly. Your trusty host weighs all answers with an even hit. This is a phenomenal review.
This is like written by a thesaurus.
Right. All leading to the final one-on-one showdown between the two most worthy competitors. They're the ones we wanted to get there. Amidst all this captivating drama, don't miss the true star of the show slipping in right before the grand finale. The meme question. In all seriousness, though, the Blevins crafts a hugely entertaining discussion week after week, and it consistently gets me to laugh out loud in the most inappropriate of places. Another must-watch from High Noon Productions. Thank you so much, Dino.
That was great.
Going to print that out and put it on my refrigerator.
It's tattooed on my back.
A better review than we've ever put out an episode of any of our shows. Let's just leave it at that. The second one here is from Mr. Maniac. It is a 5-star review. Best OW podcast there is. I love Overwatch podcasts, but this one is easily the best there is. Always funny, lots of great guests, and such an enjoyable listen every week. I'm always sad when the show ends, and even more sad when they miss a week. Bring Mitch back. He was the best guest. And stop taking away points when people refer to the one true Overwatch God that is he who must not be named.
Big calf, gotcha.
XD, yeah. So no, we'll never stop taking away points for that unless the man mans up, joins the league, puts his money where his burger flipper is. I don't know how to.
But here's the question: what if he who must not be named is on ATP? Then what happens? You're going to lose a lot of points every time you ask him a question. Every time I talk to him, I have to think. I have to.
To be fair, I'm fine. I would love to have the man on as a guest on ATP.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I just don't want to have a conversation about what team he's going to join, since it's never going to happen.
Yeah, how would he be on the Dallas Fuel? How would he work with the Dallas Fuel?
How did AKM do? He's a better soldier. I said it. Changed my mind.
But thank you guys for the reviews. Again, the iTunes reviews are the most important thing that you guys can do for us, for sure. Coming in a close second, however, is supporting us over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. It is because of your support that we are able to go to the things like the stage playoffs or the stage finals and BlizzCon. It is helping us out tremendously in doing that. So any and all support is greatly appreciated. We're trying
to see some live interviews and stuff like that. You want to help us get to the point where maybe we can go to 1 or 2 of the stage playoffs next year, things like that. As great as the iTunes reviews are, Patreon was what will get us to be able to do those dream like bucket list style things that we want to do and that hopefully you guys want to hear content about. So
yeah, we were talking with Taco about how much a DSLR camera costs, and boy, oh boy, it is not cheap.
I sat down and wept after that conversation.
Yeah, it was disappointing, but it is from your guys' support that helps us, and that goes that extends to all the Twitch subscribers, all the people that donate bits during the live streams. Of course, that's over at twitch.tv/highnoonpodcast. We do record every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. ATP is on Tuesdays between like in the 7 or 8 period. I don't put a set time on that because I sometimes change it depending on the guest. It's hard. It is surprisingly hard to schedule something with 4 different people from potentially 4 different time zones. So I don't put a hard time on that, but it's usually in the 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over twitch.tv/highnoonpodcast. All the follows help too, guys. All that stuff does help a lot. But I am going to stop talking. We actually made decent time. I mean, we made bad time considering we started 40 minutes late.
I was going to say, we started so late that it's like the episode didn't run long, but yeah, it's later than we usually do.
It is definitely later. But guys, thank you everyone for listening. Yeah.
On camera, you're just gone.
Yeah, it's pitch black. It was light out. It was morning when we started, and now it's dark out. But like I said, it's going to be it. Thanks to all the iTunes reviews. Thanks to everyone who watched at twitch.tv/highnoonpodcast. Thanks to all the patrons, patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. That is going to be it for Deathblow. Guys, I am the Blevins, and remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots, and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
5 points for everyone who noticed that we were purposely saying Brigitte the wrong way the entire time.
Also, feel free to keep messaging me and letting me know I say it wrong. We'll see how that goes for you guys.